Well, hello and welcome back, my Royal Rogues. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue, and tonight we have a recap of the absolutely amazing experience we had today watching Trooping the Color, the King's birthday parade, because everything went so smooth. At some point, there were almost 8,000 Rogues watching the event, and I'm just so grateful that you tuned in, and many of you subscribed and put the Royal Rogue 1 inch closer to 200,000 subscribers. We're less than 5,000 away, so if you want to support my channel, just hit the subscribe button. It's that easy. It was a fantastic opportunity to see the royal family reunited again at the balcony, not to mention all the emotions that we saw on display over more than 3 hours of broadcasts. We are going to talk about the King, the Queen, William, Catherine, everyone, and I'm going to go through all those moments in a minute. Just a reminder that one of the conditions that I had for the live stream is that due to copyright issues, I could not leave the live stream on so you could rewatch it, and that's why I'm making this summary. But still, it was the best experience we've had with a live broadcast so far. Also, you know that I made a live stream about Catherine's photo reveal yesterday, but I was so shaken and excited about the moment that I couldn't organize my thoughts previously, so I would also be talking about that picture at the end of this video. But before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to the app that allowed me to use the BBC's TV online apps without being in the UK. Private Internet Access, the sponsor of tonight's video. It is my VPN of choice, and I've been using it for more than 2 years now. And I use it for two main reasons. The first one is to protect my identity and privacy on the internet. You know that there are malicious actors trying to steal your information, such as passwords or addresses if you're not careful. Private Internet Access takes care of that. It allows me also to access content that is restricted to certain countries, such as Trooping the Color this morning or the games of the UEFA Euro Cup 2024. So I enjoy security and freedom of choice at the same time. Private Internet Access is also available in 91 countries and all 50 US states. Now, you know that I have recommended them a few times in all my channels, but now they've got a brand new feature that you're going to love. Now you can use private internet access in an unlimited amount of devices at the same time, just pressing one button. So no matter how many devices you've got at home, your whole family can surf the web protected and safe. And with 30 million downloads and more than 8,000 Trustpilot reviews, you can bet private internet access is the best of the best. And using my personal link in the description of this video, you will get a special offer of 83% discount. That is just $2 a month, and you also get 4 extra months for free with a 30-day money-back guarantee, plus 24/7 customer support. So go get private internet access now. So first things first. This birthday parade is not my first Trooping the Color, but it's the first one in which, to some extent, I could relax a bit, despite being in control of so many things at once. But it made me appreciate on a deeper level its significance and its close meaning to the power of the monarch. Yeah, the weather was all around the place, but no amount of rain changed the spirit and energy that you could feel on those streets. Not one bit, and much less on our live stream. So much so that, for me, time just went flying. It's more than obvious that I should start this analysis with the King. There are fantastic pictures out there of His Majesty throughout the event, but one of the perks of having live-streamed Trooping the Color is that I could keep a record of other angles and emotions that some photos couldn't capture. I noticed that some of you, when the King and the Queen appeared, even before they got out of the carriage, you mentioned that the King looked emotional. And I was waiting until I could take a good look at his face, and one of the perks of video is that it's much better to depict those subtle emotions at any given time. And I have to say that yes, at many points, the King looked really emotional and touched. At some point, I didn't say this out loud, but I wonder if he was reminiscent of Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth. I think that is just unavoidable and something that would be hard to not be emotional. Both the amazing display of your troops and the people gathered for the event and all those memories, that is a lot, so it makes sense that he showed that on his face. Among the many pictures of Queen Camilla, there are two that I want to mention, which convey the exact same thing. I think she knew that Trooping the Color is a very emotional event for the king, so her body language was of support, of being there next to him and making sure that, well, she is his queen. I remember that there was a moment when the reign began that King Charles was visibly upset and she was calming him. So, as the saying goes, she understood the assignment and did her best when it was needed. But speaking of doing her best, we also have to say that the Princess Royal looked her best with that commanding figure and under the rain, even if her horse was a bit unruly at some point. But nothing that she couldn't handle on the spot. This is hands down the best picture I could find of her, and most important, it captures her personality and character to a T. There's something that I got almost yelled at in the live chat, if that's even possible. I remember that I was trying to make sure to mention everyone, and all of a sudden I get all this, "You forgot Edward. There's Edward in there. You mentioned William and the Princess Royal, but there's Edward right by their side." And I know I can't play the card of I was busy paying attention to many things, but roguies, it's a bit hard in cases like this. I mean, here we have a high quality photo, and yes, I can see that's Edward in full uniform, but in the live stream it was a bit harder to spot for, well, reasons, and William was not that easy to spot either. In fact, I didn't mention him because I couldn't see him. I'm sorry. What is great is to have all these pictures that show them in the rain. It's not that I'm happy that it rained, but don't you tell me these dramatic pictures don't look amazing. We will be admiring them for years, that's for sure. And some of my roguies are maybe not aware of how much it rained. It didn't rain, it poured. It was the whole bucket of water. Luckily, when the king had arrived at Buckingham Palace, the rain had subsided a bit, but it was still raining. So it's great to see that the king, even on his birthday parade, treats duty the way duty needs to be treated. I just hope he took the rest of the day off. And now let's talk about Catherine. And saying that people were waiting to see Catherine is an understatement. I agree with some of your comments regarding her statement yesterday, that she posted the picture and her words so as to not upstage the king on his birthday parade. But it's undeniable that catching just the first glimpse of her live in the flesh in such a long time had to stir up a reaction. And a positive reaction, of course. I know that many of you got really emotional upon seeing just her silhouette in the carriage. And of course, now we have the luxury of super duper slow motion, high resolution takes of her. But that first impression was flawless. Some of you have asked me about the meaning of white, and it's of course purity, but also renewal and rebirth. It was combined with an amazing navy blue, which completed an ultra high contrast attire that was just magnificent. She was, no doubt about it, just dressed for the occasion. And when I tell you that there are a lot of pictures, I mean it. One more touching than the other, where she is absolutely stunning. And I know I shouldn't be even mentioning certain people, but you can imagine that trolls and haters were, of course, complaining about this. That how come she looks so good? Didn't she have cancer? And I'm going to refrain of expressing my thoughts here, but they must be sitting in ways that nobody can describe. We're going to go back to Catherine, but I wanted to mention this split-second camera angle that shows George with a smile that tells you everything about how he was enjoying being part of the event. I noticed your reactions immediately, so I made sure to look for it to bring it to you right here. Also, in the facial expression department, there was this photo of Charlotte that Thanks to the office of Indy, we have a side-by-side comparison with William, and well, you can see for yourself that the genes, Chico, they never lie. But beyond that, Charlotte's stare reminds me a lot of the Princess Royal's character. And we couldn't leave Louis out of this, right? That's just not possible. He makes sure to stand out no matter what, and it's not even on purpose. It's like that. And here he's just jumping or dancing or vibing to the drums of the parade. This was at the Horse Guards when they were watching from one of the windows, and we could get our first glimpses of Catherine as well. And for some reason, the BBC program avoided showing Catherine for like 5 minutes until a daring cameraman focused on her directly, only for the program director to cut her off. And here you see my own reaction, which is the same reaction of many of you at that moment. So finally, we got our long-awaited balcony moment with the king and the queen waving. But I mentioned them specifically for a reason. Someone took a picture that is not this one, but this one. Well, in fact, this is not a photo. This is a screenshot I took from my live stream. This is something that I noticed, so I wanted to make sure to show this exact frame in which it was undeniable, the emotion they felt from the troops and the people at the same time. I think it was a very touching moment, and you could just feel it. Not to mention the effect of watching the Wales family reunited again in public, of course, during the fly past. And that's one of the reasons I count myself as one of their fans, because this is one of the values they stand for and represent. A family. Something that seems to be going out of fashion lately. And the concept of family in society is something that we need to bring back to its original status. And this is what it's all about. Some of you would say that this is the future of the monarchy, but I would say that they are also the present of the monarchy. Because we are enjoying this love story in the present as it unfolds. The body language of connection is undeniable, with both heads attracted to each other, mimicking their smiles and doing something that I call eye kissing, in which a man and a woman just stare into each other's eyes, and it's like their eyes were kissing each other. And you can feel that electricity even if it's just a picture. Catherine is not just smiling, she's delighted just by looking at William. And William has the masculine equivalent of that, loving and protective. It's obvious that they have been through some stuff over many months, but the future looks promising. Which brings us back to Catherine's picture release with her statement yesterday. I think this is a symbol that goes beyond Catherine's struggle. I think that she wanted not only to speak on her behalf, but in behalf of anyone who is fighting cancer, and it's giving hope. I would say that by extension, hope is something we all need, especially in such uncertain times. It is not a coincidence that this is one of the words she used, uncertainty, and how to learn to be patient in the face of it. So may this be a reminder that in times like this, hope in itself has to be fought for. And we must be ready for that fight, for ourselves and for our loved ones. But Rogues, I would love to know what do you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue, and remember, much love and bliss.